today still searching for their identity. On the Tampa Bay side, a tough loss last week. The Giants had the Bucs feeling like they let one get away. As for Dallas, it was a big step backward for Big D as they were embarrassed in Seattle. Tampa Bay, Dallas, coming up right now on Fox. And before we kick it off, let's go down to the third member of this group. Here's Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, after that physical beating in Seattle, Jason Witten told me that after 10 years of highs and lows with this team, that he has never been more motivated than he is now. He says there's still a handful of us on this team with the mentality that we are not going to be that same old story, that same old Cowboys. He said that we are more determined than ever to show that that wasn't us. He's more determined to show that I'm not a guy who drops footballs, and he wants to prove it today. Tampa will have to contend with a very determined tight end and Dallas Cowboys football team. Back to you.
All right, Pam, thank you. And that is really the conversation, Troy, around here. How good are they after that Week 1 win? And is this the same old story that Dallas fans have been watching unfold the last 3 or 4 years?
Well, I had a chance to visit with Jason Witten down on the field before the game. Typically, Joe, before a game, having covered a number of Cowboy games over the years, Jason Witten is pretty accommodating, you know, and pretty loose before. But last week, I think, with the drops that he had and then with the team's performance, you talk about a highly motivated individual coming into this game. He's expecting to have a big game.
On the other side, you've got Greg Schiano, who had his team, in his words, one first down away in his mind from a victory at the Meadowlands against the Giants. You saw what the Giants just did to Carolina with a couple of their big guns not in the game. And so he's got this team believing that 10-game losing streak at the end of last year is long gone, and they're on the road here for the second straight week, and they come in fully believing they can win here this afternoon.
Well, let's be honest. That was a tough loss last week against the Giants because of the way in which they lost. And even in visiting with Greg Schiano this week, asking him, hey, so how did the practice week go? You know, coming off such a devastating loss, and early in their preparation this week, it was tough. So it'll be interesting to see how they come out here in this ball game early.
It'll be the Tampa Bay defense that was shredded through the air last week by Eli Manning that will get their first test as Felix Jones, who put the opening kickoff at Seattle on the ground last week, takes a knee. And here is Tony Romo, who has 153 career touchdown passes in his Cowboy career. There are his numbers individually against Tampa Bay, but as he said, and I agree, and I know you agree, it's irrelevant. This is a new team, a new coaching staff. Who cares what he's done in the past?
Yeah, they've made a big deal about it here in Dallas all week, how much success he's had against the Buccaneers. But, yeah, new coaches and a lot of different faces on that defense.
They fake the end around, set up a screen. It's not there for Murray. A lot of moving parts to that first play, and it just goes down as an incompletion. It was Felix Jones who was coming on the fake end around, and now a look at the offensive line, and it's a much different group than the guys we're used to seeing up front protecting Tony Romo. They're the backs and receivers with DeMarco Murray. The feature back here with Dallas, and it'll be 2nd and 15.
False start, offense number 68. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
They get dug free for the false start.
Well, you think about it, Joe. Last week, the way this team started off, you know, it was about as bad as it could get with Felix Jones fumbling the opening kickoff in that loss last week against Seattle. Now they come out, Romo gets hit the very first play of the game, and then on 2nd down, they have a false start.
At home, in their home opener. 4 men on the rush. Pass is dropped by Witten. And so the guy who now is known for drops coming off that week at Seattle, that's his 5th of the season, and this wouldn't have been a first down, but one you typically see him catch.
Well, one you typically see him catch, but I'll tell you, one that normally Tony Romo has a better ball coming out. I don't know if that ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage. It certainly looked like it did because it fluttered in there, and a very tough catch for Jason Witten to make.
Yeah, that ball was tipped. Now 3rd down and 15.
Drag.
Tight. Hey, buddy right. 180. 180.
Just a three-man rush. Romo fires a dangerous pass and it's picked off. Intercepted and back the other way, Aqib Talib. Romo tried to force one, and this Tampa Bay defense comes up with his 6th interception of the season and the first for Aqib Talib.
You're going to see Aqib Talib on the outside at corner, and he's reading into the quarterback, and as soon as he sees Romo come to the inside receiver, Miles Austin, he's able to jump it. Aqib Talib had a tough afternoon last week in that Giants loss, and well, he makes a big play here on the first possession for the Tampa Bay defense.
Remember, it's a turnover, so here in 2012 they'll look at it. It's under review. You could see the ball come loose, but it certainly looked like Talib was able to secure it going to the ground. It never did hit the ground. That interception should stand. And again, 6 picks by this group on the Tampa Bay defense as Talib gets his first. And that looks like an interception every time we've looked at it. So Romo goes into the pictures and tries to figure out what went wrong, and that is about as bad an opening possession for Jason Garrett's crew as you could put together in your mind.
Well, you take another look. Ahmad Black is the safety, number 43, and then Aqib Talib on the outside, and you're hoping that outside route will hold the corner, but just an outstanding job by Aqib Talib recognizing the route combination, keeping his eyes on the quarterback and driving hard on the football.
So they still look at it. They put the interception up on the gigantic screen here at Cowboys Stadium, and the crowd doesn't even react. It looks like an interception every way you see it, but we're still waiting for the call.
Well, you think about Dallas now, and having had all week to think about what happened last week in Seattle and wanting to get off to a fast start against a defense that had really struggled. And then that first possession there, starting on first down with the play action in the backfield, a long, slow developing play. Romo gets hit, a false start by right tackle Doug Free. And then you get to third, of course, the ball that gets batted at the line, Witten unable to make the catch, and third down interception.
Last week, you think about how the game began. Felix Jones put the opening kickoff on the ground. Then a block punt straight into the end zone for more points for Seattle. Third possession, Tony Romo throws a pick. Here you had a tip ball that was a drop by Witten, and now the interception. Here's the call.
After review, the ball was intercepted. However, he was down by contact on the 29-yard line. Clock operator, please reset the clock to 14:11.
So for Romo, the first interception he's thrown against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They'll mark the ball back at the 30. And Tony Romo will think about the next possession while Josh Freeman and company will try and put together a good opening drive offensively for Tampa Bay. That was Nate Livings, the starting left guard, who went off. We're looking at him in the locker room, and the ball is at the 29.
This is really disruptive for the flow of the game and for an offense. Josh Freeman's been standing out there waiting to get into the cadence, and the officials just can't sort through these things in a timely manner.
They're going to move the ball to the other hash, and that was the delay, and that's really what you've seen. Not only getting through penalties, taking forever to get back to the action, but then the overall control of what's gone on the field, something that talked about a lot around the NFL this week. Delayed handoff. It's Martin. And Martin picks up 2 over the right side. They talked about trying to limit turnovers for Josh Freeman coming off last season. when he turned it over more than any other quarterback in the NFL. He was turnover-free week 1. He threw 2 picks last week at the Giants.
And the first interception last week is the one they're really trying to coach out of him, because it's what happened last year when you get a little pressure in your face and it's more of a panic, desperation type throw that leads to bad things oftentimes. And that's what occurred in the third quarter of last week's game.
2nd down and 8. Looked like Ware came across early. Freeman steps up, has a man. Defender down. That was Ben. Claiborne was on him, and a flag is thrown. And they're going to call pass interference against Claiborne. Should be 2 fouls, both against Dallas. And the pass interference will take the ball down around the 11 or 10 yard line.
Well, they had the free play because of DeMarcus Ware getting into the neutral zone, and they're trying to get the ball then down the field. And then, of course, you had the defensive
There are 2 fouls
holding.
on the play. Offside, 94 defense. That foul is declined. Pass interference, defense number 24. That penalty will be accepted from the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
There's a lot of grabbing going on at the top of that route, and you know, the Cowboys were actually pretty fortunate because Freeman had more time in the pocket to hold on to that ball, and had Aurelius Ben been able to come out of that route and catch it, clearly Claiborne's on the ground. That would have been a touchdown.
They threw the flag. It's a 15-yard penalty from the 12. This one for Jackson. More hand checking. This time it's Brandon Carr, and the pass incomplete. 2nd and 10.
Well, that's the matchup that we can expect to see a lot of today when Tampa Bay is in their base offensive package, which is two backs, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers. When they go to 3 wide receivers, a new wrinkle because of Dallas's injuries, Brandon Carr will be playing safety as he is right here.
Second and 10. More movement up front. Flag flies as Martin pushes the pile down to the 5.
Good, double.
And it certainly looked like Dallas came across early yet again.
There's been a lot of discussion as to whether or not the Cowboys lost home field advantage when they moved to this new luxurious stadium. Josh Freeman being able to use hard count here on the first possession. Typically you get down in here against an opposing defense on the road, it's hard to hear yourself, let alone use hard count, but Josh Freeman has been able to do that effectively.
Defense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
This has been a horrendous start for the Cowboys to this game at 1-1. Taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 1-1. And it brings up 2nd down with the ball resting at the 7. Cowboys have committed 3 penalties and have thrown a pick. Handoff to Martin. And Martin gets popped by Barry Church after a gain of 4. That'll bring up 3rd down. 3rd and 1.
Well, Doug Martin has had a nice start here to his NFL career after 2 games last week. Pretty tough sledding, but you know, for a guy who's no bigger than he is, he's a pretty powerful runner between the tackles. And he, as Coach Schiano said to us a couple days ago, I mean, he will move a pile. And so he's a lot tougher individual than you would give him credit for based on his stature.
Crowd tries to get into it. Play clock is winding down. 3rd and 1. Martin again. And he is stopped short. It'll be an early decision for Greg Schiano. 4th down as the Dallas defense makes a 3rd and 1 stop.
Just an outstanding play. It looked like Josh Brent in the middle. Actually, it's Marcus Spears. And they're going to pull Carl Nix. And he's going to shed the first blocker, and then Nix is trying to clean him up, and he gets off of him and then just sticks Martin right in the hole.
And they're going to go for it on 4th and 1. Martin again. And he plows ahead near the goal line. Has got a first down. No touchdown. But it's a first down for Tampa Bay with the ball inside the 1.
And they get in behind left guard Carl Nix, their free agent acquisition this offseason, who's an absolute road grader there at the left guard position. We saw him pull on the previous play. This time he just fires right off the ball. Jeremy Zuda in the center position, and a nice push on that left side of the offensive line to get that first down.
Freeman keeps it, throws it. Wide open for the touchdown is Luke Stocker. Great start for Tampa Bay. They go for their first 4th down try of the season. It leads to 6 with the extra point coming as Luke Stocker makes his first catch of the year.
Good call by offensive coordinator Mike Sullivan here on first down. You're expecting run again. They go play action and immediately get everybody committed along that defensive line and linebacker level, and it gets Stocker in behind it all. Very difficult on a defense. You have to commit to one or the other, but to try to play action and pass and run at the same time from that point on the field is almost impossible.
Now the extra point from Parth, and it's 7 points off the turnover. Aqib Talib, who was picked on in the Meadowlands last week, gets his first of the year. Freeman, Stocker take care of the rest. 7-0 Bucs. There's a look at the drive. 6 plays covering just 29 yards. By the way, at the start of the game, Tampa Bay won the opening coin toss. They deferred, so they get the best of both worlds. They start on defense, they get the interception, they turn it into 7 points, and now we'll kick it back to the Dallas Cowboys, and a chance for a return from Felix Jones. And Jones, running hard, does the most he can with that, getting it out to the 16. Brought down by Aurelius Ben. Tony Romo threw the pick. Greg Schiano's team on the road, 2nd week in a row. His group, new attitude, up 7. Cowboys will start at their 16, down 7. They hand to Murray. Room to run in the middle. That first play, Derek Dockery in at left guard, and Pam Oliver will tell us why.
Well, Joe, as you know, Tony Romo has complained about communication being a problem along the offensive line. Well, now there will be a change for a while. Left guard Nate Livings, he's been into the locker room to get x-rays on his right hand. He is now back out on the bench. His return is questionable, though. Back to you.
2nd and 6. Hand off to Murray running left. And DeMarco Murray, who had a good week 1 at the Giants, didn't get a lot of work last week at Seattle with the Cowboys down the majority of that game. Gets 3, 3rd and 3 coming up. We look at the defensive front. They say it's a fast, athletic front 7 for the Tampa Bay Bucs.
It's an awfully good group, Joe, and Levante David, the rookie linebacker, he's going to be an excellent player in this league for a long time. Very good performance in each of the last 2 games.
Cowboys go to no huddle, 3rd down and 3. Romo has a man, that's Austin, and Miles Austin has a Dallas first down. Brought down immediately by McDonald with a gain of 5.
Miles Austin's the guy who, they really need to get going. Now, he's been battling a hamstring injury. I still don't think he's completely healed from that. But working the inside slot there on 3rd down, he's a very difficult guy to cover when he has the quickness and the burst that he generally has.
Delayed handoff. And Murray's got nowhere to go. Claiborne was in there, the first to hit him, a loss of 3. And let's go to Kurt for a game break.
Vikings go for it on 4th and goal against the 49ers, and Christian Ponder makes it pay off. Hooks up with Kyle Rudolph, 1-yard score, and for the first time all season, the Niners trail in the ballgame. Joe Floyd Pan.
Backing up as he threw it, found his man for a touchdown, so 7-0 Minnesota.
Romo checking out because he saw Levante David, the linebacker, that was coming on a blitz, and so he gets out of the play that was called.
2nd and 13. Good protection. Nice catch. Des Bryant. And Bryant is knocked down at the 34, a gain of 9. Levante David defending for Tampa Bay.
Levante David was showing that he was going to come on a blitz, and when Tony Romo recognized that he checked out of it, and so did David. He then called off the blitz, and they run a simple zone coverage on the backside, and they pick up the first down, or they get the completion anyway, to Des Bryant
to bring up 3rd down and 4.
Five down. Hey, you going out? You'll be in 94. I'm back. You're out. Yeah. 180. Wait up.
Extra men on a blitz. That pass is caught, and Witten fought for the first down. And he had Mark Barron, the rookie safety, on his back, and Witten was too strong.
Nice job by Tony Romo in the pocket. First of all, with a free blitzer and being able to get the ball out to Witten in stride. And if Mark Barron is able to make the tackle here, then Witten is short of the first down, and the Cowboys are punting. And that's excellent effort by Jason Witten, doing everything he could to pick up the first down.
Back-to-back 3rd down conversions on the drive. And another Dallas false start.
False start, offense number 82. 5-yard penalty, first down.
This team, the Cowboys, came in with 18 penalties called through 2 games, tied for the 3rd most in the league, and now they've had 4 called against them. 2 false starts here at home.
Well, I can tell you, Jason Witten, after the drops that he had last week and all the attention that was paid to that throughout the week by the local media, all it really speaks to is the bar that he has set at that position. He's been a great player for this organization.
Handoff is to Murray on 1st and 15, and DeMarco gets 3 over the left side. Mason Foster in on the stop. When we talk about Jason Witten, he's number 3 all-time in receptions by a tight end in the history of the NFL, with now 703, including the one today. And he is number 3 all-time, officially now in front of Ozzie Newsome on the all-time yardage list, as Murray over the left side is brought down immediately by Claiborne. A loss of 1. 3rd long coming up.
Well, this defensive front for Tampa Bay is a very active group. Adrian Claiborne, he's like the rest of them. Gerald McCoy, Roy Miller, Michael Bennett. They are tenacious in how they pursue the football. And we talked a little bit about it last week, Joe. A big difference, this defense compared to what we saw from this same team a year ago.
Hey,
I say that, and they gave up 600 yards last week.
protection.
Living's back in the game, and it's going to be another 5-yard penalty for a false start.
False start, offense number 68. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Jason Garrett has got to be steaming with how this game has started.
Yeah, it's just been, disjointed, to say the least. I know, offensively, they just haven't really been able to get into any kind of rhythm. They've had the penalties, as you stated, Joe. They've had some negative plays. They have the interception. Defensively, they just seem to be walking through the motions a little bit right now.
Have to get to the 49-yard line for a first down. Romo with room, floats it, incomplete. Des Bryant the closest to it. And even though Romo ends up on his back and Bennett is in the area, no flag, and it's 4th down.
Well, they had something going there and picked up a couple first downs, and then with the penalties, they get to another 3rd and long and just fail to convert. Right now, I've got to believe that this Tampa Bay defense is feeling good, being able to slow down an offense that is pretty much known for the big play, and yet they've not given up the big plays, and they've been able to get off the field.
Chris Jones, who had one blocked last week, gets this one away. Jordan Shipley added during the week, returning the punt and not going really anywhere. 49-yard punt, 1 yard on the return. And Tony Romo, it's been a frustrating start. Tampa Bay with the ball up by 7. Good's this start going to be for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their second possession. Last year they had 10 points. Fewest in the NFL on their opening drive. They've already put up 17, including 7 here today. Play action from Freeman. Pass is incomplete. Church defending, and that's Stocker, who has a touchdown, who was overthrown.
Well, a little UFC action here on the outside on that punt. You got Brandon McDonald for Tampa Bay, and then Laquan Lewis, and you can see some of the contact and activity that's taken on the outside there. And as we've talked about since the replacement officials took over, there's a lot of things that are happening all over the field, and for the most part they're letting these guys play.
Yeah, and the players have figured it out. It didn't take long. Handoff is to Martin. And Martin ran into a net right in the middle. A gain of 1. It'll be 3rd and long. We'll give you a look at this offense for Josh Freeman, who was in his 4th year out of Kansas State. Protected by this group. They lost a good one in Davin Joseph, who they were hoping to pair with Carl Nix, a free agent they brought in from New Orleans at the guard positions. They've got Ted Larson up front now, and Doug Martin has been an impressive rookie, number 2 around the NFL in yardage so far among rookie running backs. But now it's DJ Ware back there on 3rd down and long. And movement up front.
False start, offense number 76. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's on the center. Suda. It's the first Tampa Bay penalty, and here's this defensive group. And I think the question has to still be asked, how good is this group, even with the money and the draft pick they sunk in at the outside cornerback spots in Brandon Carr and Morris Claiborne?
Well, a year ago they had problems defending the pass. They brought in those 2 guys. They've gotten better in that area, and then last week we saw Seattle run all over them, and there's a little bit of an unknown, as you said, as to, okay, how good is this defense? How much improved are they really?
3 men come on the rush, now a late blitz. This one's in the air and picked off by Lee. Off the body of DJ Ware, and now this Dallas defense gets their first interception of the season. And it's Sean Lee who was waiting for the deflection.
And Josh Freeman, rather than try to force something, he decides just to check it down and punt and play good defense and all the things that he's been told all week long after that interception I talked about last week. And so he comes down to DJ Ware, and it looked like the ball got on him a little bit because Anthony Spencer was almost able to knock the ball down. And I think DJ Ware lost sight of it, so it gets on him pretty quickly, and once it got up in the air, Sean Lee, I mean, this guy is a playmaker for this defense, and he gets the interception.
That's the first Dallas interception defensively since last December 11th. And now over the right side, Murray, nothing's working yet for the run game. A loss of 2. Michael Bennett came in and made the stop. And Lee, who forced the other turnover with a hit at the Giants to force a fumble week 1, gets the pick, and he told us last year how good his hands are.
Well, he's an old school linebacker. I mean, the guy can play on all downs. He flies to the football. I mean, usually wherever the ball is, you're going to see Sean Lee, a guy who last week had 21 tackles in that game against Seattle.
Already his 7th career interception. From the 25 on 2nd down, it's Murray. A little stutter step down the sideline, and he's got a Dallas first down. Went around Bennett, picked up 14.
You get the ball into the hands of DeMarco Murray, in space, and he's got a 2-way go. It's a hard guy to get to the ground. Michael Bennett out there trying to knock him out. But DeMarco Murray, really a guy who probably should have been drafted a lot higher than he was. The Cowboys got him with great value in the 3rd round, but he can really do it all. And he burst onto the scene last year. And this offense was really rolling up until the time of his injury.
180!
Romo rolling right. Look back left, and that hits DeMarco Murray, and that doesn't fool anybody. A gain of maybe a yard, half yard, as Mason Foster, the middle linebacker, was there to make the stop for Tampa Bay.
Well, they're trying to roll Tony Romo out to his right and then throw the screen back to his left, and there were a lot of bodies out there for the Cowboys. Adrian Claiborne was the Tampa Bay Buccaneer that, you know, really sniffed it out and took it away.
Kill! 180!
2nd down and 9. Murray gets it, trying to get to the edge, cuts upfield and has a touchdown.
There's just no edge defender here. The Cowboys are able to seal the corner, and it was pretty smooth sailing for the most part for DeMarco Murray.
Austin was out there with a block. He was the last one to hit DeMarco Murray. The first rushing touchdown in a long time for the Dallas Cowboys ties this game. Tony's been frustrated. Now he's smiling. He's tied 7-7. Both teams now turned an interception into a short field touchdown, and on that drive, 4 plays, all 4 to number 29. 2 DeMarco Murray runs, 2 DeMarco Murray receptions, 11-yard touchdown run. It's a 7-7 game. Aurelius Ben at a 55-yarder last week takes a knee. The interception led to it. Off DJ Ware's face mask and chest. Leads to 7. Tie game. Saw this a lot last week at the Giants with the Tampa Bay Bucs offensive group huddling up at the sideline, then walking out right to the line of scrimmage. We're ready to begin this 3rd possession for Tampa Bay. Extra tackle is Jeremy Trueblood in the game, number 65. Lost his starting spot to Lamar Dotson. It's Martin. Ware is blocked along with Carter, and Martin picks up 9. Barry Church on the stop, and it's a much different looking Josh Freeman this year compared to last.
Well, it is, and it's significant. I mean, he's lost 25 pounds from where he was last year at 265 pounds, and I think that's pretty indicative of all the players, really. I mean, Greg Schiano came in, he brought in the strength coach from Rutgers with him, and you can say what you want, but if you're a quarterback or a skill player in this league and you can lose 25 pounds, then you're not in very good shape when you weigh 265.
On 2nd down, Freeman fires incomplete for Mike Williams. Let's go to Kurt for a game break.
Guys, remember the Music City Miracle? Well, maybe this is the encore. Tennessee against the Lions on a punt. Darius Raynaud throws it over to Tommy Campbell. 65 yards later is good for 7. And the Titans have the lead over the Lions 7-3 as they wind down the first quarter and start the second. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, Kurt Buffalo was on the receiving end the first time. Now it's Detroit. Here it's 3rd down and 1. Broken play. Freeman came close. Depends on the spot. Doug Martin, it looked like, turned the wrong way, and Freeman, all he could do was plow forward, and he came close to picking it up. And they're going to say he did.
Well, I got to tell you, Joe, it looked to me like that was a mistake on Josh Freeman, that Eric Lorg, the fullback, as well as Doug Martin, did the right thing, and Freeman was supposed to come out and then make the pitch to Martin, but he turned the wrong way himself, and they're fortunate to pick up the first down.
It's a 7-7 game through 1 quarter of play. The NFL on Fox will continue after this from your local Fox station. 68 total yards in that first quarter, 40 penalty yards and 2 turnovers. And each team turned the takeaway into 7 points. Now it's first down with the ball at the 30, and a look at Brandon Carr, who's back at safety. Hand off to Martin. Gets around Lee and has a first down out across the 45. He is to the 47. A 17-yard run brought down by Ware.
You know, we showed Brandon Carr playing safety, and it's because of the injuries that they've had. Gerald Sensabaugh not playing today, and so they talked about it on the plane ride back from Seattle. Brandon Carr has not played safety since he was in the 11th grade. He's their best cover corner, was brought here, obviously, from Kansas City to be a cover corner, and when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go 3 wide receivers, it puts him at the safety position. I'm assuming Tampa has seen that, but in my opinion, I'd play all 3 wide receiver and get him off of my wide receivers, put him at the safety position and take advantage of that.
Get him away from Vincent Jackson. Here's Freeman. He held on too long. Gave up the football. A scramble for it. He was drilled by DeMarcus Ware. And Tampa Bay able to get back on top of it.
Well, you're going to see Josh Freeman. First of all, you got Danny Noble, the backup tight end, and DeMarcus Ware just throws him out of the way. But Josh Freeman has to know that on a 3-step drop, it has to be bang, bang. When that back foot hits the ground, the ball's got to come out, and you cannot hold it on a short drop against a guy like DeMarcus Ware, who's rushing from the outside.
That's his 3rd sack of the year and 28th career forced fumble.
And Tampa Bay went 2 tight end in that package. Again, they're in 2 tight end packages that are keeping Carr at the corner position.
Carr defending against Vincent Jackson, and now Martin goes nowhere. First guy there was Hatcher. And that'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm curious as to whether or not offensive coordinator Mike Sullivan has seen the way the Cowboys are playing them when they go to their different personnel groupings. Because again, if I'm quarterbacking and you got a chance to take Brandon Carr and take him off of a receiver and put him at the safety position, that's a real benefit then to my offense if I can go 3 wide and work against a lesser player.
Snap almost got away from Freeman. Underneath, it's Williams. Got a long way to go. And Lee makes the stop to save a first down. A gain of 9, it's 4th down.
Sean Lee rides him out of bounds.
With the ball inside Dallas territory, and the punt team will come on for Tampa Bay.
It really wasn't all that bad of a snap to Josh Freeman, but trying to gather yourself after you do not catch the snap cleanly and get the ball down the field, very, very difficult to do. Josh Freeman does the wise thing and at least comes underneath and gets as much yardage out of the play as he could.
Kanan to punt. Dwayne Harris waiting deep. Nose of the football down, depends on the bounce. And it takes a good Tampa Bay bounce at the 5, and with that, it then took a second bounce that was beneficial to Dallas. Ware taps it down, 37-yard punt. Rivals start at the 11, tied at 7. On September 23rd, 7-7 game from the 11. It's Murray. And DeMarco Murray lost yardage back to the 9, a loss of 2.
You go back to that play when Josh Freeman got hit and the ball came out, and DeMarcus Ware is going to come on his backside, but you see him staring down to that right side. He never comes off of that. Not easy to do on a three-step drop, but I know in visiting with defensive coordinator Rob Ryan, he talked about, after having watched a lot of film on Josh Freeman, that he will pick a side of the field and stay to that side. So they're going to rotate coverage to the side that he's looking, trusting that he won't come to his backside and try to work that side of the field.
180!
Jason Witten.
All-star, offense number 82. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
He has his second of the day. And that's 4 false start penalties here in the opening half. Well, we look to Fox Saturday baseball next week. The Rays will be in Chicago to take on the AL Central leading White Sox. They're trying to clinch their first division title since '08. Or other games with postseason implications, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on Fox. This one was up for grabs. Ogletree and Romo were not on the same page. It's third down.
Well, if Eric Wright had turned around and looked at Tony Romo, he would have had the ball hit him right in the chest. You know, that's one of the things I saw last week in that game against the Giants. You're going to see number 21 on the outside here. He's got his back to the quarterback, and the ball almost hits him in the head. And both of these corners, Aqib Talib and Eric Wright, then on that play, Aqib Talib last week, sometimes we're in good position to make a play on the ball. They just never looked for the ball.
Ogletree had that all-world opener at the Giants. Was quiet last week. Third down and 17. Three-man rush. Underneath, it's Felix Jones. And Jones is going to leap and come close. And they're going to mark him a yard shy of a first down. And that's Des Bryant, who's lobbying for a better spot. He went around to lead. And we'll get another look at it. It's 4th and 1.
I can assure you Greg Schiano right there on their sidelines is not happy about this at all. Even though the Cowboys came up short, Aqib Talib doesn't go attack Felix Jones. It looked to me initially like they had picked up the first down, but 3 Buccaneers in a position to attack Felix Jones and make sure he's nowhere close to the first down, and he almost picks it up.
No challenge flag from Garrett as Jones hits a beauty. And it drives Shipley by the sideline. He's able to tiptoe his way for a positive return after a 54-yard punt. 9-yard return. Tampa Bay has the ball. 7-7 game with 10 to play in the first half. 7-7 game. Tampa Bay is averaging just basically 2.5 yards of play.
Hey, pop down base, pop down base. Pop down base.
Starting at the 35, play action. Freeman backpedaling, throws it up, and Church was closest to it. Penalty flag down back in the area where Freeman let it go.
Holding, offense number 70. 10-yard penalty, first down.
They get the 2010 Pro Bowler Donald Penn at left tackle, guilty of a hold. Bring up first down and 20.
He had a little bit of a chip on the outside. I think they got the wrong guy. I mean, Donald Penn didn't do anything. I thought when I saw it that they may have gotten Carl Nix, their left guard, and if anybody held, it was him. Certainly Donald Penn, he hardly even touched anyone.
They have their rookie third-round pick Tyrone Crawford in there at defensive end. He's at right defensive end on 1st and 20. Spencer to the outside of him. Hand off to Martin. And they're going to throw a flag for a hand to the face and a face mask on Lissamore. A gain of 6.
Personal foul, play pass, defense number 95. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
How about that? You see Lissamore, he comes in and clearly grabs a hold of the face mask. So now you've got Tampa Bay backed up 1st and 20. And they get the automatic first down to get out of that situation. 7 penalties called against Dallas already with 10 minutes left in the first half. Cowboys are playing without Jay Ratliff up front. Hasn't been active yet in a game, out with a bad ankle.
They miss his presence in the middle. 1st and 10. Cowboys are coming. Tampa Bay runs it with Martin. And Martin is brought down by Spencer and Ware. A loss of 1. Let's go to Kurt for a game break.
Well, you remember the 49ers didn't give up a rushing touchdown until their 15th game last season. That won't be repeated. Christian Ponder, 23 yards. The quarterback takes it. And the Vikings are trying to pull the upset just before halftime, up 14-3. Go Troy and Pam.
All right, Kurt, thanks. Minnesota off to a 1-1 start. 49ers are regarded by most around the league as the best team in 2012. 2nd and 11. Pass to Ben. And Aurelius Ben takes it into Dallas territory, brought down by Bruce Carter, a gain of 8.
There hasn't been a whole lot of offense here in the first half of this game, but Aurelius Ben getting his opportunity to play a little bit more wide receiver. Hasn't played any wide receiver here in the first 2 weeks of the season, but quite a shakeup there at the wide receiver position this week, bringing in Jordan Shipley and Tyquan Underwood, a couple of guys who were with the team in training camp, and then releasing Preston Parker, who was injured last week, but a pretty productive player.
They also added Chris Owusu, who played at Stanford. He's not active today. So 3 new receivers for Tampa Bay after 2 weeks. Freeman drops it off, and making the play defensively is Carter on Dallas Clark. No gain. It's 4th down.
Really nice play by Bruce Carter. He's on the backside of the formation, but he reads it beautifully, and he comes all the way across. And maybe Dallas Clark has a chance if he's able to catch that cleanly and get up the field. But Bruce Carter, a guy who Rob Ryan likes a lot. In fact, he compared him to where Sean Lee was a year ago in his development. And I'll tell you, if he turns out to be anything like the player that Sean Lee is, they're going to have 2 awfully good inside linebackers.
Wayne Harris calls for the fair catch out at the 18. Cowboys will have it under 7.5 to play in the opening half. Still tied at 7. Tony Romo and the Dallas offense sets up at the 18.
Hey, you got first set?
He's got it.
Nope.
180.
Romo steps up, finds Witten. It's off his left hand. Incomplete. And I know this first half has been anything but awe-inspiring offensively, really on each side. But for Tampa Bay defensively, it's been an impressive start.
Well, it has. I mean, the bar wasn't real high. They gave up over 600 yards last week, but this was a Cowboys offense that we expected to come into this game and be able to get some big plays down the field. Tampa Bay defensively has given up more big plays in the passing game than anybody in football, and the biggest pass play so far that the Cowboys have in the first half is just 15 yards, and then they miss on an opportunity for a nice connection with Jason Witten once again.
Romo with a flag down, throws incomplete. Talib was the closest to it, guarding Bryant. Looks like a hole. It is a hold against Dallas, and they ask Shiano if he wants to accept it. They'll bring up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Tony Romo, he's having a little conversation with Rondé Barber for Tampa Bay, and
Holy, offense number 71. That foul is declined. 3rd down.
So instead of giving Dallas an extra down with more yardage to cover, they're going to decline it. Bring up 3rd and 10. Nate Livings guilty of the hold.
This is the Cowboys offense that over the years really has been based on the big play, primarily in the passing game. And when you're an offense that's used to big plays and you don't get them, it's easy to become really frustrated in what you're doing. And I sense that starting to happen here a little bit in this first half with Dallas.
Trying to get Des Bryant cranked up. This one's caught by Witten, and there's Barber. Rondé Barber is there for the stop, the 37-year-old, 16-year player. A gain of just 3, and it's 3 and out. We look at the other side, and Des Bryant, who is across from Talib.
Well, Seattle, they wanted to play Des a little bit physical last week, and so Tampa Bay, they bring pressure on 3rd and long, smart, by defensive coordinator Bill Sheridan. Make the ball come out of the quarterback's hands, and then you got to make the tackle on the other end. They're able to do that against Witten.
Jordan Shipley will wait for the punt from Chris Jones. This one nearly blocked. No flag as Jones. Now they throw a late flag. Shipley is on top of it and lost the ball. It's recovered. Well, let's see. First of all, there was Dakota Watson slamming into the leg of Chris Jones, the punter of the Dallas Cowboys, and they have yet to determine who comes away, and it's Dallas. Shipley just added. Same for Ori Lemon, just added to the active roster for the Dallas Cowboys. They'll decline this penalty and take the ball up inside the 40.
Roughing the kicker. That penalty is declined. First down, Dallas.
He just took a bad angle. You see Dakota Watson. I mean, he was there in plenty of time to be able to make the block. His angle was just poor. He should have been able to make a play easily. And this is really what you worry about with a guy who has not been playing, in Jordan Shipley. You mentioned it. He's just picked up, and the contact, a lot of times those guys put it on the ground.
Which he just did. Cowboys take over at the 39. Stocker with a touchdown to Marco Murray with a touchdown, and now Tampa Bay has turned it over twice. As Jordan Shipley just added to the active roster, one of 3 wide receivers the Tampa Bay Bucs have added leading into week 3. Not only Jordan Shipley, but Chris Owusu, who was in camp with San Francisco, then was picked up off the practice squad of San Diego, and Taquan Underwood. They're going to tack on an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for roughing the kicker. Tack it on at the end of the play. And so that moves the ball from the 39 down to the 24. See if the Cowboys go to their ground game. DeMarco Murray, and he gets it running left. And Murray is slammed to the turf by Mason Foster. A loss of 1 in the run game. Other than the touchdown run, for the most part, isn't getting anything for the Dallas Cowboys.
No, they're really not. And Tampa Bay defensively, as we said, Joe, their front 7 is really good. I mean, I think they're a really active, athletic group, and that defensive front, Gerald McCoy, he's got the ability to be as good as anybody in football, and they've done a really good job here in this first half with DeMarco Murray, who I think is just an outstanding back.
Second down and 11. And this play shut down. Another false start.
False start. Offense number 68. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
That is 3 on Doug Free, 5 on the Cowboys, and it's just inexcusable not being able to get away from the line of scrimmage.
Well, it is, and you wonder what's happening up front there, because we've seen it from Jason Witten too, and we don't generally see that type of thing happen with him. And you know, Ryan Cook now, he came in at center. He joined the team late, right before the start of the season, but he has been with them now for a few weeks. You wouldn't expect to be seeing some of these things.
This is Ogletree, makes a nice catch. And he's knocked down just inside the 22, a gain of 8. Brandon McDonald there defending, coming up on 5 left in the half.
Well, with the fumble by Jordan Shipley and then giving the ball to this Cowboys offense where they did, this is going to be a heck of a defensive stop if they're able to hold the Cowboys to a field goal attempt.
We're out. 54's Mike. We're out.
3rd down and 7.
Let's go. 54's the Mike. Yeah, we're out. You got 5.
Des Bryant at the bottom of your screen. Talib across front. Romo's going to take it, pick it up, and slide with a first down at the 12. A gain of 9 on 3rd and 7.
Well, Tony Romo is not a big runner, but you're going to see man coverage across the board. So all of the defensive players are going to have their back then to Tony Romo. And anytime you go to that type of coverage, the guy you're not accounting for is the quarterback. Romo recognizes that and doesn't even try to get a pass off. He just sees the open field in the middle, takes it for the first down.
Des Bryant at the top of the screen. It's Murray. Hesitation because there is just nowhere to go. And Murray again, another negative yardage carry. A loss of Joe Roy Miller was the one that plugged it up and was there to bring down DeMarco Murray. 2nd down and 12. 10 carries for 11 yards. But an 11-yard touchdown run. So that's how many negative runs he's had here in the first half.
Well, you just kind of wonder how long Jason Garrett will continue to run the football with no more production than they've gotten so far.
2nd down and 12. Romo. Wrong page with Austin. Austin stopped. Romo thought he was going to continue. And it's 3rd down and 12.
I think Romo was expecting a double move, a little stutter, and then go to the pylon. And Austin, I don't know if he thought, well, because Aqib Talib is off so far, I'll just hook it up here. But, you know, clearly not on the same page. And we've seen that now a number of times here.
It was that way with Ogletree. He's looked that direction and with that same face with Des Bryant. 3rd down and 12. Just a 3-man rush. Romo with all day. Corner of the end zone. Defender slips incomplete for Kevin Ogletree. Eric Wright was back there, lost his footing, and the Cowboys still can't complete. It's 4th down.
Well, we've seen 3rd and long, and Bill Sheridan dial up a blitz. You said, Joe, 3-man rush, so 8 guys in coverage, but they're unable to keep Romo in the pocket, and that's when he's been really dangerous this year. And Eric Wright fell down. But a great defensive series there defensively, not giving up a touchdown.
32-yard try by Bailey, who knocks it through. The Cowboys have a lead as they turn the Jordan Shipley turnover into 3 points. They'll have some talking to do on the Dallas sideline. Schiano happy holding Dallas to 3 points. Tony Romo looking at the pictures on the sideline, trying to figure out what's gone wrong, because this Dallas offense has done really nothing in this first half. A lot of penalties, false starts. It has been sloppy and kind of lethargic for Dallas in their home opener. Meanwhile, we'll show you a replay at some point of Kevin Ogletree, who was the intended target on that last pass by Romo, and how he ended up on the ground. Eventually Eric Wright ended up on the ground, and how that happened is one you may not believe. Here's an onside kick try by Bailey, and Mason Foster is there to cover it up.
Wow, that's an interesting call there. It's a good job by Tampa Bay being prepared for the onside kick. Clearly, Joe DeCamillis saw something. The special teams coach for the Cowboys saw something that they thought they could take advantage of in this game. But with just under 3 minutes to go here in the first half for an offense in Tampa Bay that really has not been able to do anything, now you give them a short field.
Now let's go back to Ogletree. Watch the official throw his hat on the right side of your screen. He throws his hat right in the path of Ogletree, who steps on it. Lucky he didn't blow out an ACL, goes down to the ground, and then pass is incomplete. Penalty flag is down as Aurelius Bennett gets it on a handoff, but a flag is down. It's a run of 9 yards. We'll check the flag.
Illegal shift on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So that eliminates a 9-yard carry by Ben brings up 1st and 15.
Well, both of these offenses have had to deal with a lot of penalties and just mistakes that are very difficult to overcome against good defensive football teams. When you're constantly looking at 1st and 15, 1st and 20, 2nd and long, hard to overcome those types of mistakes.
So the catch and run by Ben, 9 yards, goes back. And now 1st and 15 as LeGarrette Blount is in the game for the first time. Luke Stocker moved early. A couple of the Dallas defensive players moved as well.
Yeah, it sure looked to me like he was drawn off by movement along the defensive front.
Offense number 88. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, you see the movement on the inside. It looked like Marcus Spears. He moved into the neutral zone, and that's what Luke Stocker reacted to, but he was the one who was penalized. So now with good field position initially, and you're looking at 1st and 20.
Coming up on the 2-minute warning. Just get it away as LeGarrette Blount over the left side has blocking and then tries to leap Barry Church, a gain of 11. And that'll take us to the 2-minute warning with just over 1:50 remaining. It'll be 2nd down for Tampa Bay when we come back after this run by Blount as they trail by 3. Robinson is the wide receivers coach. And he had that discussion with Des Bryant moments ago. Some of the frustration for this Dallas offense that has been totally unimpressive here in the first half. Bryant has 1 catch for 9 yards. Here's Blount again, coming off that good run, and that carry is good for 3. We'll bring up 3rd down for Tampa Bay as they trail by 3 with all 3 of their timeouts left.
And how about LeGarrette Blount? He had a stinger there in week 1 against Carolina, and then last week did not even get a carry in that game, but he rattled off an 11-yarder on 1st and long, and so they said, well, heck, let's just see what he can do with another carry. But yeah, very little action when they brought in Doug Martin to be the guy at running back.
Vincent Jackson has no catches, now lined up against Mike Jenkins at the top of the screen on 3rd down and 6. And more flags and whistles at the start.
False start, offense number 22. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
They're starting to even out. That's the 8th false start penalty of this game.
Well, the way Tampa Bay does it, the right guard, Ted Larson, he'll look back, and when Josh Freeman gives him his foot, he'll tap the center and let him know that he's ready to have the ball snapped. And Doug Martin can see all that happen, and he got a little over anxious, but really just no excuse for some of the penalties that we've seen here.
Martin still in there on 3rd and 11. Pass is incomplete. Jackson the closest one to it. It's 4th down, and Dallas will get it back with all 3 of their timeouts left.
Now they put Vincent Jackson there in the slot position. He's going to he's running a short crossing route, and hoping for man coverage and being able to come back to him. But really neither quarterback has been able to get too comfortable in this game. Josh Freeman doesn't look like he's seeing the field particularly well, and then as for Tony Romo, there's been just a lot of miscommunication between him and the wide receiving corps.
Harris waiting for the punt from Kanan. And a delay game.
Delay of game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Giano trying to, I think, settle his team down, maybe settle himself down.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think somebody's going to have to calm him down. I'd sure like to hear what he has to say at halftime, because, for a guy who's a real stickler for details and not beating yourself, boy, these guys have done a lot of things. Really, both teams have. We've pointed that out. But for Tampa Bay, that was not a good possession for them at all.
Kanan hits it. Harris lets it go over his head and into the end zone. So the drive will start with 57 seconds left in the half. 3 timeouts for Dallas at the 20. All new comedy returns with the premiere of the new Fox Tuesday. America's Favorite Roommates are back with New Girls, a 2-episode premiere. Plus, we've got 2 of the best new comedies of the fall season with Ben and Kate and The Mindy Project. A night of all new comedy returns this Tuesday on Fox. Thrown to 3 times, no catches for Vincent Jackson, and now Dallas with a chance with under a minute to go to get more points before halftime.
Yellow. Drag it, 54. Hey, 56 is down. 56 is down. Hold down. 54.
Timeout is taken by Tampa Bay.
Well, you got Greg Schiano now on the sidelines just trying to calm everybody down. They're trying to substitute players, and you can see him right there. He's doing everything he can just to keep everybody from overreacting. But at the last minute, Tampa Bay's trying to get a player onto the field for substitutions, and they had to call a timeout, otherwise they were going to be exposed. But a very erratic, undisciplined Tampa Bay team here in this first 30 minutes of play.
Visa halftime coming up. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. Randy Moss is back in Minnesota with San Francisco. We've seen a couple of highlights from that game, and last check Minnesota up in that game, and the Saints at home against KC going after their first victory of the year. We'll have the Saints next week at Green Bay. A good late game on America's Game of the Week. Late afternoon on a Sunday at Lambeau Field. So first down at the 20 for Tony Romo. They fake the handoff, completed to Bryant. He goes backward. Talib is out there.
So that's an excellent play by Aqib Talib, fighting through the block and then making the play. The Cowboys are just trying to get into the no huddle with a quick completion. They get that, but they don't get anything out of the play. In fact, they lose yardage.
Now 2nd and 12. Quick throw. It's Austin. And Miles Austin spins his way out to the 32. Tampa Bay made the stop. Dallas will take the timeout. 27 seconds left in the half. We give you pause and effect. All 17 points off turnovers. Interception by Talib. Touchdown throw to Stockton. And then as a response off the mask of DJ Ware, touchdown run of 11 yards by DeMarco Murray. And then after Jordan Shipley mishandled the punt, it was a 32-yard Dan Bailey field goal, and that's all the points we've seen here in the first half.
This is going to be an interesting possession for Dallas offensively, and they're backed up and they've got their timeouts. Now they're down to 2, and they want to push the ball down the field. And when you've got an offense that's been struggling like Dallas has been, and you're able to get into a no huddle and just play and not think so much about assignments and what you're doing, I think that's the game that Tony Romo likes. I think right now, he has a chance if they get into this no huddle and keep the clock running and not burn all their timeouts here early, that he might be able to get on track.
4-man rush. Romo steps up to the sideline. He's got Ogletree. And he's got a first down at the Tampa Bay 49-yard line. Stops the clock. 21 seconds left. Romo told us a couple of years ago the one guy he studied and how he manages that 2-minute offense is Tom Brady. When to take the timeouts, when to let that go and try and keep the pedal down against a defense on its heels.
Apollo left, 6-14.
Fake the handoff, back to that first play, Bryant. He spins to the 40, timeout Dallas. They have 1 left. Talib on the stop, a gain of 8.
I just think Tony Romo right now at this stage of his career, Joe, I mean, you talk about him studying Tom Brady, and he studies all these quarterbacks. I mean, really is a guy who watches play around the league and how can he get better, sometimes to the frustration of his own coaches. But he's he's got a real command of this offense and where he is right now, you know, after what, his 10th season that he's in, and having been in this offense now for a number of years, and he's played really good football now for a couple of years, and if the rest of the players can play as well as he has been playing this year, this is going to be a really good offense.
Be a 58-yard field goal try from here. The career long for Bailey is 51 yards, so if you want to know where that would take the football, that'd be the 33-yard line as they set up with a 2nd down and 2 at the 40. Romo trying to avoid a sack, cannot. And in there to make the play was Gerald McCoy, and he wasn't alone. Bennett was there as well. And now Dallas will take their final timeout with 10 seconds left. Hope for something by the sideline.
You're going to see the twisting action here as to how they then get to Tony Romo, and some of the games that they ran last week against the New York Giants failed to produce a sack, and Eli threw the ball 51 times in that game, and I know they thought that maybe they got a little too cute in some of the things that they were doing along that defensive front, but that time they were able to run the game in the middle with Michael Bennett and Gerald McCoy and get to Romo.
So Dallas has to hope for a play along the sideline. They cannot afford anything in the middle of the field and hope to get up there, spike it, and have a chance to try the field goal. It's 3rd down as Dallas tries to add to a 3-point lead here before the half. 3rd and 8.
Buddy right. 180. 182.
Romo steps up and now going to go for it all. There's receiver went out of bounds and it's incomplete. Ogletree was the closest one to it. 2 seconds left. They're out of field goal range for Bailey. They'll heave it one more time.
Well, you heard Ogletree at the end of the play. I mean, he kind of initiated the contact there with Eric Wright and even pushed him a little bit at the end of the play, and he was over there trying to get a call. It was a good no call, though.
He's back to the huddle. Tampa Bay backs up defensively, and this will be one try to the end zone for Romo.
Back you over to the right. 180. 27.
Romo lets it develop and now lets it fly. Deep enough to the end zone and batted away. Broken up. Barber and Barron and McDonald, all 3 back there, as well as Vincent Jackson. They're big receivers. And it was the rookie Barron who got his hand on it. Visa halftime coming up after this from your local Fox station. NFL Films Field in honor of the late, great Steve Sable. Brilliant man, had such an artistic eye. At halftime, they honored the 78 Cowboys, the 92 Cowboys. Lombardi Trophy held there by Jay Novacek. My booth mate was up here in the booth, not down there on the field, and the fans in front of our booth were saying, "Get down there, Aikman."
It's good to see those guys.
Follow your favorite team all season long. Just go to itunes.com/NFL. You'll be there at the reception after the game. And again, we honor the legacy of Steve Sable, who passed away this week at the age of 69, and just in many ways changed the way this game was seen and ultimately revered. So he will be missed. As Aurelius Ben will take a knee, and we're underway in the second half. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Greg Schiano told me at the half that we just have to stick to what we know, and that is to take care of the football and play good defense. He said we are aware that Cowboys cornerback Brandon Carr does move to safety. He says we'll talk about it, though, in the locker room. Jason Garrett, meanwhile, told me that he was concerned about all those false starts, but he says those were cadence issues, and he believes that they can take care of that. Back to you.
All right, seems kind of odd to have issues with cadence at this point after all the work they've done in camp the first 2 weeks of the season. As you said, they don't have their usual center, Phil Costa, still out with a bad back, but that was a stop and start ugly first half. Here's Martin over the right side, and the rookie will get a yard and a half.
Well, we'll see what kind of adjustments really both of these teams make. Defenses playing well for both teams, and we heard Pam Oliver say they're well aware that Brandon Carr is going to safety when they go to their 3 wide receiver package. But what the Bucs are about is really a 2 tight end or a 2 back set and run the football. But I would think for Vincent Jackson not having any catches there in that first half, well, I'd sure like to test him a little bit if I was Tampa Bay out of that 3 wide receiver set.
Second and 8. Play action from Freeman. Just got rid of it, threw it away, and got hit at the end of it. Lissamore was bearing down on him. And it's 3rd down and 8.
Well, they do have Brandon Carr on Vincent Jackson, but he's also getting some help over the top by the safety. That's the way the Cowboys are playing it. They're cheating him a little bit to give help to wherever Vincent Jackson is, and so somebody on the other side of the field has to win. They were locked up one-on-one there to the side that Freeman was trying to go with the ball, but just nowhere to really throw it.
DJ Ware in the lineup for Tampa Bay on 3rd and 8. A blitz. Freeman for Lorig or Clark, and that's Dallas Clark, the big tight end, longtime Indianapolis Colt. He's overthrown, and it's a 3 and out to start this second half from Josh Freeman and the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Well, they got a matchup that they felt pretty good about it, but we knew coming in that Bruce Carter was going to be assigned the responsibility when they went man coverage against Dallas Clark, and Dallas Clark has eaten up a lot of linebackers over the course of his career, but he was unable to shake Bruce Carter there on 3rd down.
Des Bryant waits for the punt from Kanan. Line drive punt. Bryant from inside the 35, a little room to maneuver. And that room is no longer there. Went sideways, not up the field. Nothing on the return after a 45-yard punt. New haircut and a nice smile from the defensive coordinator Rob Ryan of the Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys leading by 3 will start this drive at their own 32. Handoff is to Murray, and he has had very little room to run. Gets 4 over the right side. We showed you Rob Ryan going to break with the new haircut. And a little then and now, last year to this year. Cut his hair during the Week for Locks of Love, a great charity that gives hair to children who are involved with illnesses that robs them of their hair. The problem for Ryan was he didn't cut enough. So the hair just went into the trash can.
Well, that's what he said, kind of like our performance against Seattle. We just came up a little short.
2nd down and 6.
He is one of the more fun guys to talk to on Friday.
He's definitely got a Ryan sense of humor. Here is Austin. Pass was behind him. 3rd down.
How about Pam Oliver in our meeting on Friday with Rob when she asked him if he thought maybe they got a little too conservative the week before against Seattle, and I found that pretty funny because I don't know that anybody's ever accused a Ryan of being conservative in their defensive play calling. I think Rob took exception to it as well.
Well,
I know Buddy would.
May have left. 3rd down and 6.
Yellow 80. Dragon. Hey, easy. Toss her. Yep. 180.
Romo, Ogletree. And Ogletree's got a Dallas first down. Then spikes the football forward, no flag. Eric Wright there to make the tackle for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, of course, Ogletree, he came out in the season opener and really had a nice game in that win over the New York Giants. Didn't do a whole lot last week, but a guy who they're really counting on to be that third wide receiver for them when they lost Ron Robinson from a year ago, who was a very productive player for them.
Play action from Romo. Pass is caught by Bryant. And Des Bryant down to the Tampa Bay 39. And a rare big play in this game, 18 yards to number 88.
Pretty good protection up inside, and so Romo's able to hang in the pocket, and then they run a dig route on the outside with Des Bryant one-on-one against Aqib Talib.
On first down, Murray trying to establish the ground game, just lowers his shoulder and gets a yard over the right side. Let's go to Patrick O'Neill for a game break.
Thank you, Joe. Niners on the road at Minnesota. How about this play call? First and goal, Alex Smith wide open. Vernon Davis for the touchdown. Minnesota still up on the Niners 17-13. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, Patrick, thank you. Last week, Giants went up and down the field on this Tampa Bay defense, had 9 plays of 20 or more yards. None so far today, although that last big one was 18 to Bryant. 2nd and 9. There's Austin. There's a big play down inside the 20. And the Dallas offense trying to get untracked here as that one's good for 21.
Well, Tony Romo, he sees the rotation by the safeties on the back end, and then he knows it's one-on-one to Miles Austin. Eric Wright is in coverage, and he doesn't get a hand on Miles Austin coming off the line of scrimmage, and so a pretty easy release on the slant route, just pitch and catch for those two.
Longest play of the day for either side, 21 yards to Miles Austin, first down at the 17.
180.
Back to the air. End zone overthrown as Austin. Good coverage by Wright and Barron.
Well, we saw Tampa Bay open up this second half and not do anything offensively. And then the Cowboys get their opportunity, and now they've been able to complete some nice passes, something they were unable to do there in that first half, and have turned this into a nice possession to start this third quarter.
First half, the Tampa defense really clamped down on the Dallas offense. It averaged just over 3 yards a play. Romo pulls it down and now just flips it forward. It's an incomplete pass. Even though it's recovered by Tampa Bay, McCoy was there and avoiding the sack by that little flip forward is Romo. It's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, and I don't know about that one. I mean, I know DeMarco Murray is checking down over the ball, but clearly Romo is unloading this to avoid the sack in the pocket, you know, within the tackle box. And I don't know. I think that maybe that should have been intentional grounding.
Ball was nearly out of his hand. Challenge flag is thrown by Shiano. We're going to have to talk to Mike Pereira. We talk so much about an empty hand on an over-the-top throw. That ball looked like it was coming out of the hand prior to the real effort by Romo to pitch it forward. And this will be an interesting look. It was recovered by Gary Gibson of Tampa Bay.
Challenging the previous play was a fumble.
Again, we talk empty hand with the conventional over-the-top throw. We'll hear from Mike Pereira and get the call as we take a break. Come back to Arlington right after this. Greg Schiano threw a challenge flag. It looks to us like it was worthwhile. Let's bring in Mike Pereira. What'd you see from Los Angeles, Mike?
Well, I think it's a good challenge. You know, I mean, you have the empty hand rule even on something like this when you try to scoot the ball or shove it forward. Remember now, you got the regular replay guys in the booth. These are people that are guiding the referees into making this decision when they're looking at the sideline. If you reverse it to a fumble, do you have a clear recovery to give the ball to Tampa Bay? You can clearly see that you do there. So the focus of this now is going to be, does Romo have the ball in his possession, in his hand, when he is trying to push the ball forward, or is it loose? Remember, the keys always is what they ruled incomplete. Now you're talking about empty hand, which I kind of think I agree with the way you guys are leaning. I think the ball's loose in his hands and it's a fumble, even though it shoots forward like that. To me, your empty hand rule comes into play. Does the left hand control it?
Yeah, that's the other part of it. We're going to get the call right now.
After review, it was determined the ball was loose in his hand. He pushed it forward after it was loose. It was recovered by Tampa Bay. The ball will be placed on the 19-yard line, and it will be first down.
Good challenge by Greg Schiano. They certainly got the call right according to our replays, or at least in our opinion. And as Mike said, you can have empty hand on a conventional throw or even something like that. So trying to avoid the sack. Romo lost it and probably cost the team at least a chance for 3 points as they started to get a little traction, Troy, offensively on that drive.
Yeah, I think you look at that play and the way the ball was projected forward, it looked as though Romo had initiated that. I'd said, hey, maybe they could have called intentional grounding. You go back and you slow it down and you see that he really did not have possession of the ball. You never know how those are going to be overturned or how they're going to be looked upon, but that's a nice job by Greg Schiano and that staff, getting on top of it and getting the challenge flag out before the snap of the next play.
Each side's turned it over twice now. And on first down, to the ground with Martin. Hatcher is in there with Lee. A gain of 3.
You just look at Tampa Bay and I mean, defensively, they have really played well. And that was a big question coming into this game. How are they going to respond after giving up 600-plus yards last week in that loss to the Giants, and then a tough loss, an emotional loss, and a hard week to get ready to play? They've answered the bell. They've done a nice job. Offensively, they just have not gotten anything. We saw Dallas starting to generate some momentum. We haven't seen that yet from Tampa Bay.
On second down, quick throw to Jackson, and it's incomplete. He gets popped by Brandon Carr. And Jackson is still without a catch.
Vincent Jackson, they cut his split down, and so they can run the out route, the quick pass, 3-step drop, and he has it, but then Brandon Carr comes in on the hit and is able to jar it loose.
Those two are familiar with each other, Jackson and Carr, from their days in the AFC West. Jackson in San Diego, Carr with Kansas City.
Yeah, and Dallas is giving help, as we've seen, but Tampa's not. They've just not been able to try to drive any ball down the field. They're playing within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Third down and 7. Jackson got around Mike Jenkins. It's dropped off underneath to Ware, who's got a first down. So they screen it to Ware, and DJ gets 11, and a much-needed first down for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it really was. It was needed to help this defense out and let them get a little bit of a breather, but then also just to try to recapture field position. If you don't get a first down here and you're punting, you're giving the ball to Dallas with pretty good field position.
Only the second third down conversion for Tampa Bay in this game. They're 2 for 8. Tailback gets 5. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, when Drew Brees hooks up with Jimmy Graham on this touchdown, it makes it the 46th straight game that Brees has thrown a touchdown pass. One shy of Johnny Unitas' all-time mark. More importantly for the Saints, who put them up 17-6 midway through the third quarter. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, Kurt, thanks, and we will see the Saints next week and see if that continues for Drew Brees as they're in Green Bay late Sunday.
They bring in the extra lineman here, Jeremy Trueblood, and it'd be a good time, I think, for play action down the field.
On second down, instead, they stay conventional. Martin crosses the 40, third and short coming up, and we look ahead to the rest of the games. on Fox NFL Sunday next week. Week 4 around the NFL. And these matchups for you: 49ers and Jets, Carolina, Atlanta, Vikings and Lions, Seahawks and Rams in the NFC West. America's game of the week: the Saints and the Packers, or the Redskins at the Buccaneers. Begins with a Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. On third down, brought down is Martin, and he was brought down short of a first down. DJ Ware, rather, and he is about half a yard shy of a first down, it appears at first glance. And we're going to get a measurement.
We're going to get a measurement, and I'm not real certain that if they come up short on this, I think Greg Schiano's, I think the wheels are turning right now as to whether or not he wants to go for it. I don't think he will if they do come up short. I think he'll punt. But, you know, considering how much of a struggle this has been for them offensively, you can see where he just wants to try to keep this possession going.
Meanwhile, Barry Church, who suffered a deep thigh bruise last week in Seattle, is down. They're looking at him. Down low on his right leg, but this will be an important measurement. Looked initially like they stopped Ware shy of the first down. When they place the ball down, it's a little closer to the 43, so this is tight. And it is a first down by the nose of the football. So a conversion there and no decision. Now Church needs help to get off the field, and they are really thin back at the safety spot.
Boy, they sure are, and Rob Ryan was really concerned about this. He was banged up coming into the game, as you said, Joe, and, you know, Rob Ryan says if we lose Barry Church in this game, we're going to be in a really tough position because of the inexperience that they have backing them up.
They have a first-year player, Mana Silva, back there. He's never started an NFL game. That's him, 36. They have Carr out at corner now across from Vincent Jackson. Handoff is to Martin. Doug Martin, the rookie, has a yard. That's it. Brought down by Josh Brent, who's playing in place of the injured Jay Ratliff.
Well, here's what I know about offense is that when you run the style of offense that Tampa Bay wants to run, or what we have seen in this game, you're going to run the football and then take shots down the field. They haven't even taken a shot down the field, but it makes it really, really difficult on your defense. Fortunately for their defense, they've played really well, but to me, what I've seen, especially on this possession, they're kind of banging their head against the wall here, trying to run the football, and they've not been able to have much success doing it.
Second down and 9. Play action from Freeman, who comes underneath. That's Silva with coverage, and a flag flies. Dallas Clark, the intended receiver, and they throw a flag on 36, Silva.
Well, it was a poor thrown ball by Josh Freeman, but Silva was clearly on his back as Dallas Clark is trying to slow down and make a play on this
defense
pass.
Number 36. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
That is the 9th Cowboy penalty of this game. Silva comes out along with Josh Brent. The ball is at the 46-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys, first down. A 10-yard penalty, as it turns out, on Silva. Blunt in the backfield, he gets it. And coming down to make the play is Victor Butler. A carry of 4 yards by LeGarrette Blount.
Nice run by LeGarrette Blount. He got a little something. He had the 11-yarder there in the first half, and a guy who a couple of years ago, when the team went 10-6, had a nice season. LeGarrette Blount did, and then last year was a bit of a struggle, and as I said, just has not been given a lot of opportunities here in 2012.
Tampa Bay finally over 100 total yards for the day, but down by just 3. 2nd and 6. Here he is again, and Blount ran into a wall. no gain. Victor Butler in there along with Lissamore. You can celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with the NFL. Visit NFL.com/Espanol, official Spanish language home of the NFL. For game highlights, fantasy football, and a first look at your team's Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. 3rd down and 6, and very little creativity offensively by Tampa Bay so far. Big 3rd down here for Josh Freeman. A blitz. Pass is dropped by Williams. It's 4th down, and Freeman ends up on his back. Carter was coming, but he had help with him with Tyrone Crawford and Jason Hatcher coming as well.
Yeah, just not a lot of creativity as far as what they're doing offensively here. And the Cowboys this time, they bring pressure, and Tampa Bay just doesn't have an answer for it.
So the turnover by Romo leads to a punt, we assume, from Canaan. High hanging Brian Harris calls for a fair catch just outside the 10. Cowboys have it, under 5 to go, 3rd quarter. Dallas up by 3. Dallas has it up by 3 in this drive starting at the 11. 4th time in 9 possessions. The Cowboys start inside their own 20. This one is the fullback, Vickers. Lawrence Vickers is brought down from behind by Miller, a gain of 5.
Well, I'll tell you what, they came around the backside. Romo didn't feel it coming. He took a pretty good hit at the end of this play. The Buccaneers do a good job in coverage. There's really nowhere for him to go the ball. He double clutches it, and Bennett, who got around free, Doug Free, the right tackle, he was the one who was able to drive Romo into the ground. This Tampa Bay defense has really done a nice. Both these defenses have really played well in this game. But this Tampa Bay defense against another challenging offense has really played well here in this game today.
2nd down and 5. Play action from Romo, looking for Bryant. And Des Bryant fought for the ball, got it, made the catch out to the 34 in front of Talib. Gain of 18.
And it's good coverage, too, by Aqib Talib. You see how it's contested. It's a well-thrown ball out in front. If that ball's anywhere behind, Talib's able to make a play on it. But that's the kind of receiver that Des Bryant, can be, and the kind of receiver that he is. He said when those balls are contested, he's very physical at the point of reception. He's a big, strong player, and those are the types of plays that they need him to make when he's being challenged.
5 catches, 51 yards for Bryant. Here's Murray, just ran right over one tackler and takes it out to the 40. Went through Eric Wright, and now DeMarco Murray a little slow getting up, a run of 7 yards.
Yeah, he's banged up pretty good. You know, it's helmet to helmet. They're on the initial contact, and he runs hard. He runs like Adrian Peterson. I mean, there's the initial contact with Eric Wright, helmet to helmet, and he was pretty shook up trying to get up off the turf.
He's got his arm hanging. I think it's slapped in the helmet as he gets back over to the sideline by a teammate. Handoff is to Jones. He's dragged down from behind by Foster. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, the Niners have pulled it within 4 of Minnesota, but the Vikings have reasserted themselves. Christian Ponder, Kyle Rudolph, second time they hook up for a score today, 24-13, and the Vikings just recovered a 49er fumble. Joe Troy Pan.
That would be a shocking development in the Twin Cities if the Vikes come away with a win there.
You got that crowd into it there, and that's not an easy place to try to come from behind late in the game.
That carried by Jones, a loss of 1, 3rd down and 4.
No, 180.
Only 3 men on the rush again, and Romo gets crunched. Bennett, the ball comes out, but they're calling the play dead where Romo went down, and Bennett's got another. He got the first of the day, and now Bennett is in on this one.
Well, you got 2 guys there to block up Michael Bennett, and they've got Witten helping Doug Free. Doug Free sees that Witten has him, and he immediately then looks to his inside instead of giving him help. And the Cowboys were fortunate again on that play because it sure looked to me, Joe, like the ball was coming out before Romo went to the ground.
It looked that way to Schiano too. He just threw the challenge flag. So let's take another look. Bennett just with a big hit on Romo, and let's see when the ball's coming out. Claiborne on the backside. That ball's out.
Yeah, it's out of his hands well before.
Tampa Bay is challenging that the previous play was a fumble and the player was not down.
So here you go, back to another potential fumble by Romo. This one came out, challenged by Schiano. Looks to us like another good challenge by Greg Schiano. Clear recovery. Here's the call.
After review, it was determined the ball was loose and therefore it was a fumble. Tampa Bay recovered the ball on their 31-yard line. It will be Tampa Bay's ball, first down. Tampa Bay is not charged a timeout. Since they have been successful on their previous two challenges, they will be granted one additional challenge.
Well, and you're going to see here the ball is definitely out before Romo goes to the ground. He has no possession there. Now, where they're fortunate, where the Cowboys are fortunate, is because it was ruled a fumble, or because it was ruled that he was down, Tampa Bay was unable to advance this fumble. And had they not have ruled it that way, then this would have been a touchdown for Tampa Bay.
Schiano threw the flag. Tony Romo's turned it over 3 times today. 2 fumbles at early interception. He fumbled 6 times all of last year, now 3 so far in 2012.
Well, that hit there by Michael Bennett, that's not on Tony Romo. I mean, it is hard to hold on to the ball in that situation, and but yet the Cowboys, offensively, as far as what they were trying to do in protection, they should have had that blocked up. The last guy you would have expected to be able to get pressure on Romo would have been Bennett when you've got Witten and right tackle Doug Free there.
So taking over at the 31, Josh Freeman. Blitz coming from Dallas. Freeman throws in the direction of Martin, nothing there. Crowd wants grounding, but Martin was in that area. The officials will get together and we'll see if one official saw Doug Martin there by the football, because Freeman was clearly inside that tackle box.
I think Freeman initially looked to me like he's trying to say he's trying to get the ball to Doug Martin. Doug Martin was in protection, so it was obvious that Freeman was getting rid of the ball to avoid the sack.
Be a 10-yard penalty, third down.
You see Doug Martin here at running back. He's blocking DeMarcus Ware, and there's nobody over there.
It's a loss of down. It'll be second down, and they'll mark the ball back at the 41, so 2nd and 20. And the official, as he was making the announcement, threw the flag after initially saying no grounding. So 2nd and 20. It's a big penalty, a loss of down, and it marks it all the way back at the 41-yard line. Freeman for Jackson, broken up, and it's Jenkins there defending for Dallas. Last year's top cornerback, Mike Jenkins, had right shoulder surgery over the offseason. Now he's a third corner, and here's what he did.
Really a good job by Michael Jenkins, because this is where Vincent Jackson is really good. He's an athletic wide receiver, and if you put the ball up, he's a guy who will go up and get it. And for Jenkins, someone who really didn't get any time throughout the offseason and is kind of working his way back into the good favors of the organization, makes a key stop against a good wide receiver.
Pro Bowler in 09. Now 3rd down and 20. Freeman slings it, and he was behind Vincent Jackson, who was open. He had Jackson open, threw behind him, and it's 4th down.
Well, you had him open in the hole, and it looked like Josh Freeman was just unable to see what was in front of him and was worried about the coverage out in front of Jackson, and Jackson was getting through that window there where he had a chance to get the ball clean, and as a result the ball was behind. But had they been able to make a connection on that play, they pick up the 1st down, Joe.
Last 6 Tampa Bay drives have ended in punts by Canaan. They've thrown at Vincent Jackson 6 times. No catches on the day. And after all that, the Cowboys have a 1st and 10 at their own 20 as they lead by 3. Tampa Bay offense has really not been able to move the ball at all. 101 yards of total offense as Murray back in the game. He hasn't been able to do anything on the ground, and they're flying around defensively for Tampa Bay as well. Call ** NFL to download NFL Mobile now and get coverage of every NFL game at 2nd and 9.
Bill Sheridan, the defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay, he has called an excellent game, you know, for his unit. And as we said, I mean, a guy who was really exposed last week against the Giants, or his defense was. They have played well here in this game.
4-man rush. Cowboys pick it up. Austin makes the catch to the 30. Got behind Eric Wright, and a completion of 49 yards from Tony Romo.
We've seen it so many times, especially this year, with Tony Romo extending plays and avoiding pressure and getting outside the pocket. And when he does, he usually looks down the field for the big play. Now, Eric Wright, he gets beat. He's beat there, but he makes up, and it looked like he was in a great position to make a play on the ball. But Miles Austin makes the catch, and there's the hit at the end of the play that they get on Tony Romo. But last week, Romo avoided at least 4 sacks against Seattle and was responsible for a couple of touchdowns in the opener against the Giants by doing what he just showed.
Final seconds of the 3rd quarter. This one floated for Witten out of his reach. A flag is thrown. Bennett gets up looking for a holding call, and he got it.
Holding. Offense number 68. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
Doug Free out of right tackle's had a long day, and he's guilty of a hold.
Yeah, he has. He's had a tough game, and Michael Bennett, that's the move that he likes. He likes the bull rush, and he gets in on a defensive or an offensive lineman, and he's done that now a few times here in this game against Doug Free. And last week, the pressure that Romo felt really was not from the inside of the offensive line. Those guys held up pretty well. The pressure really came from the outside, and Doug Free had a tough outing last week, and another one, not only in protection, but also with some of the false starts.
Play clock is at 4. This one for Witten, and he dropped another. Perfect throw from Tony Romo, and Jason Witten at the end of the 3rd quarter has to think about another drop. The reaction by Romo as we go to the 4th in Arlington. 3-point game. Back after this from your local Fox station. There are the numbers. Witten's going to get tired of hearing about him. 2010 through 2011, he was targeted 245 times, dropped only 6. 21 times this year he's dropped 6, but there's a big asterisk there. A guy who suffered a lacerated spleen on August 13th. Fought his way back to be ready for the opener. Here's Ogletree over the middle. And Ogletree on 2nd down at 20 gets 17.
Yeah, you called it, Joe. I mean, as far as Jason Witten, this guy is, one, he's not healthy. I mean, he wasn't even supposed to play in the opener against the Giants. He's playing with a lacerated spleen. He's bandaged heavily, you know, to protect himself, and you don't know how much of that is affecting him. He would never say anything to make an excuse for not catching the football, but this guy's playing through a lot of pain right now, and yeah, he's had a few drops that we're just not accustomed to seeing from him. 3rd down and 3.
Romo throws and finds Bryant, and Des Bryant's got a 1st down at the 12. 9-yard completion on 3rd down and 3.
Well, the Cowboys are able to overcome a long down situation and keep this drive going. They get the big completion and then set up the 3rd down and medium, you know, here to Des Bryant.
His biggest day catching the ball so far this season, had 4 for 85 at the Giants, 3 for 17 at Seattle, Now he's got 6 for 62 today. Miles Austin is in the locker room as they look at his ribs. Murray. Right forced him out. Just got enough. A gain of 3.
You know, you get the feeling, Joe, seeing how this game has gone, that if the Cowboys are able to score a touchdown and make this a 10-point game, that, you know, it could very well be game over, because a 2-possession game from what we've seen at Tampa Bay offensively is too much for them to overcome. I mean, it's an offense that barely has over 100 yards of total offense, and so that puts a lot of pressure on this defense in being able to keep the Cowboys from coming away with 7 points.
2nd down and 7. Another false start. Tyron Smith.
False start. Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
I mean, as a quarterback, would you not have gone nuts at these guys with these false starts?
A long time ago.
Okay. But it would have driven you crazy.
Well, there's no excuse for not being able to get a snap off without penalties. And there's been way too many, really, for both of these offenses. But, you know, here you're in a favorable down and distance, 2nd and medium, and once again, you're looking at 2nd and long. And it's hard to overcome those things and come away with touchdowns.
6 false start calls against him here at home. Romo is sacked, and he got blasted by Bennett. And with his eyes closed, he gets up.
Well, he got hit by 2 guys, and you're going to see Gerald McCoy right here in the middle against Mackenzie Bernardo. He throws him out of the way. He gets a big hit on Tony Romo, and then Bennett finishes him off, and that is a big-time blow.
Claiborne's down for Tampa Bay. It was McCoy who got him first, and a hit up high. And Romo going to the sideline with cobwebs. Back after this. Some of the beautiful artwork here at Cowboy Stadium. Meanwhile, somehow, Troy, Tony Romo's back in the huddle.
Well, yeah, and it really should have been a penalty. I mean, it was helmet to helmet, even though Gerald McCoy really did everything that you would want a defensive player to do. He didn't launch. He didn't really lead with his helmet. He came in to tackle him high, but it was helmet to helmet. And I will tell you, as a guy who was hit a lot, this is a big-time hit right here. And the fact that Romo even got up off the ground is amazing to me.
They checked him on the sideline. He's okay for the moment to continue. There's no flag thrown, which brings up the other topic that's been talked about. As Romo now finds Felix Jones, and Jones is going to be brought down by Talib. Short of 1st down yardage, it's 4th down. But that's what's happened with these replacement officials. The boundaries, the rules have been pushed to the limit. Sometimes guys are going over the boundaries, laying hits on players that for the last 3 or 4 years have been so taboo in the NFL. Now Romo just suffered one and no flag is thrown.
No flag. We saw it last week on the hit on Sean Lee, and that's why a lot of people are concerned that, yeah, the hits are going to take place, but there's got to be penalties called when they're made.
This to make it a 6-point game, a chip shot, 26 yards for Dan Bailey. But Romo is still a bit woozy. How could he not be after this hit by Gerald McCoy? It's a 6-point game in Texas. Football begins Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. So the injuries are piling up now as Adrian Claiborne is going to be carted off the field. Meanwhile, defensively for the Cowboys, Barry Church is out with a leg injury. And Aurelius Ben from inside the end zone will take it out and not make it to the 15, knocked down at the 12 by James Hanna. Tanner in there as well for Dallas. And this offense has got to figure something out here fast, down by 6 with 11 minutes left.
Well, they really do, Joe. And you look at Dallas defensively, they have played outstanding. And they've been able to stop the run, which is what Tampa Bay wanted to be able to do coming into this game. But as we've seen from both of these teams, when your own offense is not putting points on the board, one play here is the difference in winning and losing a game like this.
On the ground, Spencer, I believe, came off the edge. It was Spencer who made the tackle, a gain of 3.
I tell you, I just don't know what Tampa Bay's doing offensively, considering how inept they've been, and yet they still try to run the ball on first down. And the whole thing is trying to get it to third and manageable, but they're not converting on third downs either. And you'd think they'd try to get something down the field when it is a running down, particularly on first down.
2nd down and 7. Freeman throws, and the pass over the head of Vincent Jackson, working on Mike Jenkins. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Big day for the Titans special team. Darius Reynaud, who threw the lateral to Tommy Campbell for the punt return touchdown, takes a kickoff return all the way for the score, 105 yards. That was after the Lions had just scored to take the lead and a 2-point conversion. It's all even at 27 and a crazy one, Joe Troy-Berry.
Yeah, good game in Nashville. Interesting game, I guess we'll call it, here in Arlington. A 6-point Cowboy lead. It's 3rd and 7. Blitz. Freeman, incomplete for Clark. And it's 3 and out. And now just 3 for 12 on 3rd down of the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Well, that's on Josh Freeman there. I mean, he works the inside. He's got outside one-on-one with Vincent Jackson, something that he's not had a lot of. I mean, Dallas Clark could do a better job winning there on the inside, but one-on-one on a slant route to Vincent Jackson outside, and he doesn't work that way. But there was some opportunity on that play to pick up the first down.
Still 10 to play, with Des Bryant waiting for the punt from Koenig. High hanging punt. No fair catch. Bryant with a flag down. Morik gets up looking for a block in the back. A loss of 2 on the return. This one looks like yet another Dallas Cowboys penalty. Miles Austin is back out there in the offensive huddle. They were checking his ribs earlier. Here's a call.
3rd return. Illegal block in the back. Number 34 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
They get Philip Tanner for a block in the back. He's going to move the ball back to the 31-yard line. The Cowboys will start this drive leading by 6. This drive starts at the 31 for the Dallas Cowboys, up by 6. Murray in the backfield. They fake it to him. Romo finds Austin with a sliding catch out of the 48. 17-yard completion, and this Tampa Bay defense being asked to do it again. They've stepped up, but they've got to be getting worn out with the way their offense, Tampa's offense, has played so far in this game.
Well, yeah, they've got to be worn out, and now, you know, the degree of difficulty just got a little bit harder because they can't even give up a field goal on this possession, you know, from what we've seen at Tampa Bay, because once this becomes a 2-possession game for Tampa Bay, I think it's game over because Tampa Bay has shown nothing on offense.
Sliding down is Murray. Let's go for a game break. Here's Patrick O'Neill.
All right, Joe, thanks very much. Andy Dalton and the Bengals trying to spoil the home debut of RG3 and the Redskins. Dalton hits Andrew Hawkins for the 59-yard touchdown. Dalton, 328, 3 touchdowns. Cincinnati up 38-24 over the Skins. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
You got Washington coming off a Week 2 loss in St. Louis. You get excited about Washington after Week 1, and now they're in danger of dropping their 2nd straight. This is a tough league to figure in 2012, right here in Week 3. 2nd down and 12. Delayed handoff, and coming up to make the play is David. DeMarco Murray, a gain of just 2. 3rd down and 10 coming up. Meanwhile, Tampa Troy. They have 4 sacks over the last 20 pass plays coming after Tony Romo. They didn't have any over the previous 77. So they've figured out the way through this Cowboys offensive line.
Well, they have, and it's an offensive line that should get better as the year goes along as they play together more. But that was an area where they thought that they had addressed in free agency to be better than they were a year ago. But boy, in this game, they've not held up real well.
3rd down and 10. Pass comes out wobbling. It was deflected. It's caught by Ogletree, but short of a 1st down, and the Tampa Bay defense stands up again.
That's a great job by Tampa defensively, and Bill Sheridan, he's put together a nice plan here against the Cowboys. And you know, Bill Sheridan, a guy who was actually on Urban Meyer's staff to coach at Ohio State. He was going to coach defensive backs. And then because Greg Schiano got the job late, couldn't hire a lot of the coaches that he would have liked to have brought, hired him away from Ohio State.
Here is a short punt. Oh, it will be down inside the 20 near the 18-yard line. Chris Jones didn't hit it all that well. 29 yards. And now a late flag. It was just thrown. And this could cost Tampa Bay some yardage. Crowd reacted. It appears to be against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's Myron Lewis who gets an earful from his head coach Greg Schiano. Former 3rd-round pick in 2010. And
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the receiving team, number 23. Half the distance, 1st down.
That's Laquan Lewis who drew the flag on Myron Lewis. Laquan smiling. He baited Myron Lewis into a penalty. Greg Schiano's defense has done a tremendous job here on the road after getting torched last week in the Meadowlands against Eli Manning, especially in that 2nd half. They come from behind win for Manning and the Giants. Schiano's got to be thrilled with his defense, but the offense has done really nothing.
Well, if they score a touchdown on this possession, that'll almost match their total yards for the entire game.
They start with a run, and there's not much room for Doug Martin. He gets 4 over the right side. Well, so much was made about the last play, kneel down last week in that game we just talked about. So we went back and found a handful of plays from the past 2 seasons at Rutgers where the players had tried to jump the snap and cause a fumble. Schiano, who coached at Rutgers 11 seasons, told us caused a fumble 4 times in the past 5 years. So that's there, and we're in that type game where that could come up again. 2nd down and 6. Martin left side. And over the left side with Crawford in on the stop. A gain of 3, 3rd down coming up.
You know, I've been asked about that play a lot this week, Joe, and I got to be honest with you, I do not take exception to what Greg Schiano did. And as a quarterback and having been in the victory formation, we played against defenses that didn't always give up. And I got to tell you, if you're an offensive lineman and you see that defensive front in the position that they were last week, you've got to know they're coming. You know, and the game's not over just because the offense decides it is when the ball has to be snapped again. I know there's a lot of people that feel differently than I do, but I do not take exception one bit with what Greg Schiano did last week.
Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin did. 3rd down and 3. Freeman has it knocked out of his hand by Ware. Ball still loose and recovered by Donald Penn back at the 1. And Freeman, who's just 1 for his last 10 for 11 yards, hung on to it for a long time. And then number 94 did what he does best.
Well, Mark Dominic may be looking for 3 more wide receivers at the end of this game because Freeman has plenty of time in the pocket to get it out. He does not. But there was nowhere for him to throw the football, Joe. I mean, the Cowboys are blanketing these receivers, and there's just nowhere to throw it. Now, Josh Freeman's got to recognize that and know you can't stand back there in the pocket like that and think you're going to have all day to throw the ball. when you've got a guy by the name of DeMarcus Ware on the other team.
He's got 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles in the game, and a penalty flag before the snap. A false start.
Offense number 35, half the distance, still 4th down.
It's a matter of inches here as Canaan will punt from the back of his end zone. Here are the options that Freeman has.
Well, it's man coverage all across the board, and you see that it is tight. And they've got safety help, so it's 2 deep, man coverage underneath. Very difficult to throw the ball against that, but nobody's getting separation.
Line drive kick, good job by Canaan just to get it out of there. Des Bryant on the return. Has a lane. Des Bryant down inside the 10 near the 6. Yard punt, 44-yard return by number 88.
Yeah, really great job by Des Bryant. He's got a real knack for being able to find the hole within a punt return, within the punt return coverage team. And this is a game that really was just hinging upon one big play in order to wrap it up. And Des Bryant provides that big play. And right now the Cowboys certainly with an opportunity to come away with a touchdown, whereas a field goal, as I've been saying, will be plenty to ice this game.
They don't have to get too creative here, but they're going to try. This one's in the air, caught by Romo. But they could basically run the clock down, make it a 2-score game by doing nothing but handing it off. And they were lucky there as the ball went in the air and Romo was there waiting for it.
Yeah, I don't agree with the call there by Jason Garrett. Thinking that, well, Tampa Bay knows what the situation is as well. Maybe you can go play action and get a cheap touchdown. But, where they are right now, a field goal, and yes, a 2-possession game, it's game over.
Michael Bennett, who's had a great game, number 71, got his hand up. If nothing else, by catching that tip ball, it's kept the clock running. There's Des Bryant, but they've got a tight formation. Looks like they're going to run it. Vickers in front of Murray. Murray to the edge. Penalty flag flies as Murray is knocked out at the 1. 6-yard run, but a flag is thrown.
Holding, offense number 47, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
They get the fullback Lawrence Vickers trying to set the edge there and give the edge to DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, we saw Tampa Bay. They brought Rondé Barber off the backside, and it looked like he was going to be able to make a play on DeMarco Murray. But then he got taken out by his own man. There's the hold. But Bill Sheridan knows that they have to come after the ball carrier, the quarterback. They've got to sell out defensively because they're watching the same game, or he's watching the same game that we're calling. And he knows that they can't afford to give up any points.
You thought that you'd see maybe more flags here in week 3 with all the talk about
Please
officials.
reset the game clock. 3:41.
Gaining better control of what's going on the field, but there's really nothing. There could have been more flags thrown, especially on that hit on Romo. There's nothing where they're piling up flags. This has just been a very poorly played game, very loose, and that's what we've witnessed. I don't think they've called anything they shouldn't have to this point. 2nd down and goal.
Somebody has to win.
Murray. DeMarco Murray will take it out of bounds up near the 5. Barron is there to force him out. But he goes out of bounds. The clock is stopped with 3:34 left. They're going to mark him out at the 6.
Well, I think if you look at both of these teams, they both have games next week, and then they both have their bye week. And I don't know what each coach is going to do with their respective teams during the bye week, but they're both going to have a lot to work on. My guess is Greg Schiano is going to be working his guys.
He just has that look about him. On 3rd down and goal. taken inside the 5 to the 4. Roy Miller made the stop. Clock continues to wind down with 3:21 to go. Both sides with all 3 of their timeouts remaining, and Bailey will have a chance at a chip shot field goal to make it a 2-score game.
It looks like they're going to let a clock run down. They're going to let it run down to 1 second, it looks like, on the play clock, and then call a timeout.
It'll be a 22-yard try. A couple yards more than an extra point. That's it. And a timeout taken. So we'll tell you that coming up after our game, Fox Sports proud to bring you exciting coverage. The Barclays Premier League as Liverpool takes on Manchester United in a wild game filled with controversy between 2 of soccer's most bitter rivals. Coverage begins following football on Fox. Check local listings for the start time in your area. Let's go down to the field and check in with Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Adrian Claiborne didn't make out too well on that Romo hard hit from earlier. The Bucs right defensive end has a knee injury. He never returned back from the locker room. Back to you.
Yeah, he was carted off the field, so despite the efforts up front by this Tampa Bay defense, offensively it was handoff, incomplete pass for the better part of the second half.
Well, it was. There wasn't a whole lot of creativity as far as what they were trying to do offensively, and now they, depending on what happens on this field goal attempt, but more than likely they're going to have to at least throw the ball on first down.
They're going to be forced to open it up. But just by the play calling, they didn't let any space develop for Freeman and these receivers. Everything was so tight near the line of scrimmage. 22-yard try by Bailey, and it's a 9-point game. Give you a video recap of this game if you're just checking this out. It hasn't been all that pretty. A lot of penalties. Early interception by Talib of Romo led to a Luke Stocker touchdown. Then one off the face mask of DJ Ware, picked off by Sean Lee, led to an 11-yard touchdown run by DeMarco Murray. And the biggest play of this second half, and maybe of the game, was the punt return by Des Bryant after DeMarcus Ware did his thing, forcing a fumble, moving the ball back to the 1, actually inside the 1 after a penalty. That led to the last 3 points, and that's where we are. You see the turnovers. Romo has been hit 12 times in this game. 23 combined penalties for 174 yards, and yet the only thing that will matter for the Cowboys coming out, at least the spin they'll put on, is a win is a win. But false start penalties here at home, and they are pointing toward a Monday game against the Bears. That's their next effort. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is next at home against the Redskins. Bailey kicks it away. Kicks it out the back of the end zone. Let's go to Patrick O'Neill for a game break.
All right, Detroit at Tennessee. How about the Titans finding every which way to score? This is Jake Locker. Nate Washington, 71 yards. So the Titans have a punt return, a kick return. They just added a fumble return for a touchdown, and they're looking to ice the Lions. Meanwhile, in Minnesota, Alex Smith with a pick, his first interception since week 12 of last year, 249 attempts. It looks like the Vikings may hang on to beat the Niners. Joe, Troy, Pam.
Crazy day, crazy start to the season. I mean, you said it, I think it was off the air last week. After a couple weeks, 3 weeks, you think you know, but you're just guessing at this point who's good, who's not, and what the trends are with these individual clubs.
As Jim Mora once said, you think you know, but you don't know, and you never will know.
From the 20, they hand off to Doug Martin.
You've got to be kidding me.
A 1-yard run down by 2 scores, 9 points with 2.5 minutes to go.
Well, you can imagine that man right there, Mike Sullivan's going to have a lot of questions to answer at the end of this ball game. And, you know, for a performance defensively that was really outstanding, and everything that could have gone right for Tampa Bay really did, with the exception of having no offense. Freeman stays upright and misses Martin.
Since the opening possession, when they got the interception, went in for the touchdown to Stocker, they've had 9 possessions, an interception, and 8 punts. That's been it from the Tampa Bay offense.
Well, I mean, you think about it. They hold the Cowboys to 16 points. They get the ball offensively a number of times with good field position. And they couldn't do anything. If you drew this thing up and you said, okay, we're Tampa Bay, we're in a rebuilding mode, we're trying to kind of establish ourselves, a new coach, how do we win this game? Everything kind of played out the way you would want it to play out. They get the takeaways defensively, the hits on Romo, but offensively, I mean, this has been about as bad of an offensive performance as I've seen in a long, long time.
They just get the play away, and Martin goes nowhere on 3rd down and 9.
I don't know what's going on. 3rd and 9, and you're still running draws. I don't get it.
I know this. The scoreboard is big enough to see here in Dallas. So it's not like they don't know what the score is. It's 60 yards long, and they're playing and calling the game like they're up 9, not down 9, running it 2 of 3 times on this possession where they've got to go down the field and get 2 scores. It's 4th down, meanwhile, 4th and 11, and I would assume they'll put it up, but this just defies logic.
Yeah, I can't explain it.
Bruce Carter, the inside linebacker, is slow to get up. He will get to the sideline, and it'll be 4th down and 11, and without a conversion here, timeouts, whatever, it doesn't matter. Now they're going to punt. They've got the punt team out there. Last 4 Tampa drives have lost 16 net yards. And Josh Freeman standing on the sideline. And that may change as we hit the 2-minute warning. It's got to. 4th down and 11 when we come back. We'll tell you that coming up right after this game is over, it's the Direct TV post-game show. It'll be 4th down and 11. We're at the 2-minute warning. Tampa Bay with all 3 timeouts remaining. We welcome in a new audience if you're just joining us. Josh Freeman and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, they have 95 total yards in the game. They're now under 100. This is a 4th down and 11 in a 9-point game. From their own 19. Freeman throws, and this one is caught by Vincent Jackson. His first catch of the day, with the clock winding down under 1:50, and they finally opened it up. They had to.
That's the first ball I've seen thrown down the field that I can remember since the one up the sideline that fell incomplete to Vincent Jackson. And that was a well-thrown ball and a nice play on it by Jackson.
Over Orlando Scandrick, who was in pretty good position. Here's Martin underneath. And he gets a big hit from Sean Lee. A gain of 12. And a timeout taken by Tampa Bay. This one's not over yet. 9-point game. Buccaneers take a timeout. They've got 2 left. Let's go back to that Vincent Jackson catch. His first of the afternoon.
Yeah, the Cowboys, rather than play, a zone coverage, they helped Tampa Bay out a little bit, even though Tampa hasn't really done anything the entire game, as we pointed out. But they went man coverage there. And so they were one-on-one, on their best receiver, which allowed the Buccaneers to at least take a shot then down the field.
That was only the second completion of this second half for Josh Freeman. And with 2 timeouts left, the ball is at the Dallas 40. The Tampa Bay down by 9. He did hit Jackson. Then he got Martin. That's 3 completions in this half. That's it. First down at the 40. Freeman throws, that's Williams, and it's broken up. Good play by Laquan Lewis. Second and 10.
You know, they get the man coverage, and Mike Williams has a chance. He wanted the flag. I think all these receivers do anymore on every ball that hits the ground, but the coverage was actually pretty good. It was within the 5 yards, and you can certainly have contact at that time, but Williams still could have had an opportunity to make the play.
We said that graphic earlier showed it. If you're just joining us, last 9 possessions, 8 punts and an interception. Second and 10. Freeman, sideline, Williams. The catch is made, and a beautiful catch at that by Mike Williams along the sideline. Got behind Laquan Lewis and good for 23.
Well, it was an excellent play because Josh Freeman has to beat the safety with the ball. This is the coverage that Dallas has been running quite a bit throughout this game. 2 deep safeties and then man coverage underneath, and it takes real accuracy as a quarterback to fit the ball then in some of those spaces, but Josh Freeman is able to do that, and they could have been attempting some of these things throughout the ball game. The only reason they have now is because obviously they have to, but never do they force the issue throughout this game.
4-man rush. Pass is caught. New to the roster is Taquan Underwood. And Underwood is good for 7. Clock at a minute left. From the 10. Freeman with wear on him, gets rid of it, and out of the back of the end zone. The catch is made, but out of bounds is Mike Williams. And now it's 3rd down.
Yeah, and right now, you know, with it being 3rd down, you know, I would say to Josh Freeman, you either got to have to get the ball in the end zone and we score a touchdown, or don't throw it, because I mean, they can throw it, but they have to come away with points right now on this down, I guess is what I'm saying, because they got to afford themselves some time then to kick the onside kick. So whether they come away with a touchdown here or a field goal, that's fine. At least they have an opportunity then to go for the onside kick.
3rd down and 3. Marcus Ware coming off the edge. Pass is incomplete for Dallas Clark. Coverage on that play by Danny McRae, who's the special teams captain. He's there, number 40 for Dallas, forced into action with the injury to Barry Church.
We got the official right there. You know, there was a lot of contact, certainly on the outside, but it looked to be well within the 5 yards.
Now one of the Dallas players is down. 44 seconds left in this game in Arlington, Texas. We've got an injury timeout. And an injury to Morris Claiborne. Take a break. Come right back. Actually, stay right here with 44 seconds as Morris pops up. 44 seconds left. Tampa Bay with 2 timeouts remaining, and they are about to kick a field goal to make this a 1-score game. And it's a relatively short field goal for Connor Barth, who's made a franchise record 20 straight. 28-yard try. This to make it a 6-point game. Nothing to it. For those of you just joining us with 40 seconds left, what you have dipped into is a really odd game. You know, you and I were talking, Troy, during the break. Dallas may come away with a victory in this game, but if you track where they've been this season, I mean, they've gone on the road and won in the season opener on that Wednesday night at the Meadowlands against the Giants. Last week they went to Seattle and were just taken apart by the Seahawks. And now today, I don't know how they feel coming out of this game, even if they get a win, about their effort here at home in their home opener.
Well, I think it's hard. You know, these are all professionals. You know, so defensively, it is hard to judge what they did completely because, you know, Tampa Bay just didn't really look like they were doing some things you have to do to give yourself a chance to be successful. Having said that, I think Rob Ryan should feel good, certainly about the way that his defense played. But as we pointed out, a number of mistakes on the offensive side of the ball, pre-snap penalties, not executing the way that you expect them to be able to execute. And so that's got to be a concern. I think both of these teams defensively come out of this game feeling pretty good. Other than that, there's a lot of work for both teams to be had.
Yeah, a lot of work. Should be a long week of practice. And now the hands team out there for the Dallas Cowboys. They're trying to secure an onside kick and wrap up their second win of the season. There is hope for Tampa Bay. This one popped into the air and recovered by one of the backup tight ends, James Hanna. And now the Dallas Cowboys can run out the clock, and they are on their way to a 2-1 start. I tell you, Tony Romo, who will take the snaps and kneel down, was knocked around and hit really hard in this game.
He was, and you're going to see Hanna here. Nobody touched him. I mean, he goes to the ground. He could have got up and run that in for a touchdown. I mean, he still hadn't been touched. He walked over to the official and gave it to him. They're just happy to win this game. But you're right, Tony Romo, he took a lot of hits in this game.
Well, let's see if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now fire out on what we expect to be a kneel down.
Well, they're down.
They're down, ready to come after Romo. You bet. And if the Giants didn't know it last week, the rest of the NFL knows that Greg Schiano's team is going to come after offensive lines and quarterbacks at kneel down time.
Yeah, and for some reason the play clock is already down to 3 seconds here for the next play, and now they raise it back to the 40 seconds so the Cowboys can just run this thing out.
And again, we've got a new audience, actually a couple new audiences. You talked about it earlier. You, as a guy who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you have no issue with a team in this position, Greg Schiano's defense, firing out at kneel down time.
No, I don't. I mean, you can see right there by the way that the defense is positioned that they're not giving up. I say, why should, of course, they call timeout. They had a timeout, so Greg Schiano's able to call a timeout. They're going to do it again. But my look at it is, why should the defense just say the game's over just because the offense decides it is when they have to run another play?
Let's take a game break before this next snap. Here's Patrick O'Neill.
Joe, it's Music City Miracle, but in favor of the Lions. Sean Hill in for Matthew Stafford, who left with an ankle injury. Lions down 7, closing seconds of the game. Titus Young somehow gets that 46-yard touchdown to tie it at 41. Tennessee has the ball in overtime. Unbelievable. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Wow, unbelievable. You're right, Patrick, and Tampa Bay has a timeout left. Crowd doesn't like it, but that's the way Schiano's team is going to play it. It's no surprise anymore, and a timeout is taken by Tampa Bay.
Well, Greg Schiano talked a little bit about it last week and said that he almost called timeout, even knowing that eventually you're going to run out of time, that he almost called timeout last week against the Giants. And he is calling the timeouts here in this game, and you can see that he's given this defense an earful right now.
Eli Manning last week put it in the category of a cheap shot. Tom Coughlin met Greg Schiano at midfield at the end of that game and got in the face, in essence, of Greg Schiano. But everybody knows now in these kneel-down situations, buckle up, tighten up the chin strap, because they're coming, and look at that. Big hit on the center. Penalty flag flies. They're going to call offside. That's Ryan Cook, who ends up on his back. And they're going to be a lot. I know what you're saying, but this is getting in the category where guys can end up getting injured.
Penalty is declined in the ballgame.
And they decline the penalty as Ryan Cook ends up on his back. And no confrontation in midfield after this one. The 3 most dangerous snaps of the game. Back to wrap it up after this.